Today we're interviewing Art Hulme, former track and field cross-country coach at Millersville. Art, what brought you to Millersville? What prompted you to come here?
I was teaching at and coaching at Lansdowne High School, suburban Philadelphia, and my professor, Sturzebecker, came out and he said, "Would you like to teach at a college?" And I said, "Who wouldn't?" And he came up and saw, I think, Beamsdorfer, the president, and I got the job.
Okay. Obviously, that's a name we all know, Beamsdorfer, but most people won't know that he was president of a university at that point. When you came to Millersville, then you came as a professor teaching in the health and physical education department?
Yes, and coaching.
Okay, and coaching, which is very different than what we see today.
Yeah.
Did you coach a sport initially, or did you come in as a professor?
No, coach a sport initially, I guess.
What sport did you coach? Was it always track and field, or what did you start
I
with?
was backfield coach in football.
Okay.
And then track.
Okay. All right. Tell us a little bit about Millersville at that point. Obviously, it wasn't Millersville University when you came here. What was it? Millersville State College?
Yeah, Millersville State College.
It was Millersville State Teachers College,
Yeah.
I think up until '59,
Yeah.
and then it became Millersville State College.
Okay. Good. About how many students were here?
Oh, I'd say about 400.
400.
I don't know, I'm not sure.
Okay. But it's obviously very different than what we see today.
Oh, yeah.
Any idea what it would cost for a student to go to school here around then?
Very little, but I don't know.
It wasn't in the tens of thousands of dollars. Okay. What was student life and what was the focus of students, and what was it like working with the students at that point, back in the late 50s?
It was great. The students were all nice and friendly.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right.
I enjoyed it.
What was the affiliation? Was Millersville was obviously part of the PSACs, is that correct?
Yeah.
And then how about national? Were you with the NC2A, NAIA?
I don't remember anything beyond the state.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right. So you started coaching track and field. How many athletes would you have on a team?
Oh, well, I was coaching football.
Okay.
And then I wanted cross country to go with track and field. So at halftime, when the coach would take care of the football team, I would get the cross country team to run and strengthen my track team.
Okay. And so you started cross country program here then?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what prompted you to do that? So you're coaching, you're a football coach.
Yeah.
So how did you go down the road of cross country? What made you decide to do that?
I just liked track, and that's all I can say.
And track was different some ways than what we see today. Some events have been added since the 50s, so you probably didn't have the hammer throw.
No.
Did you have a steeplechase?
No.
What was the longest distance you would run for the distance runners in track?
2 mile.
2 mile. And of course, everything was in yards, 440,
Yeah.
half mile, things of that nature. Okay.
So when you decided to start the program, how did you go about doing that? I mean, did you have to go to the administration and say, I want to start a new sport?
Sturzebecker, my teacher at Westchester, he got me on it.
Okay.
He said, well, as I said, do you want to teach in a college? And I said, who wouldn't? And then he brought me up here to Millersville. He must have known the president because we went right in the president's office and talked. The three of us, the president, Sturtsy, Becker, and myself. And I got the job.
How did you get athletes to come here? What was it? Did you recruit? Did they just come?
That's one thing I didn't do. I never recruited, never believed in it. And we had good teams. They came out for it.
About how many students would be on the team? How many for a track team would be out?
I'd say 25.
About 25. And how about cross country? How many did you have in those initial years?
Maybe 15, 12, 15.
Now, in current day, very different as far as courses. Where did your course go in Millersville? What route did they take? Where did they run?
Out in the boondocks out here.
It's probably back now where Crossgate's golf course is.
Yeah.
So you headed back into the fields that way, down to the river, places like
Yeah.
that? Okay. And of course, your track facilities were very different. You didn't have artificial tracks when you started
No.
here. Was it a cinder track?
Yeah.
Did you have a track when you first started?
Yeah, it was a new track. They just put it in.
So the track was built, was it 56 or 58? I'm trying to remember when the
Maybe
track.
they didn't have the track. They had the football field, the new football field.
That's what I thought. I thought maybe the first 1 or 2 years that you had track,
Yeah.
that there actually wasn't a track.
Yeah.
And our individuals today see the large Beamsdorfer Stadium, the large metal structure. That wasn't there when you started here. What
No.
was it? Just small bleachers?
Yeah, small bleachers. They bring them from the I think they bring them from the baseball field over to the track.
Okay, all right. Who were some of the prominent teams in track and cross country during the time you were here?
Shippensburg seemed to be. And Westchester, of course.
What are some of your favorite memories about coaching?
I guess the favorite memory is winning the state championship in my last year.
That was in track and field in
Yeah.
1969.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's important to note that your last 16 dual meets in track, you won. I don't know if you remember that, but your second to last season that you coached, your team lost the first dual meet, won the rest, and then of course won all of them in 69. So you finished your career with 16 consecutive wins in track and field, which is pretty impressive.
I didn't realize that.
And Art, the structure of competition today is very different. When you were coaching, you ran dual meets against one other school. That was most of
Yeah.
your competition, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But-
How many meets a week would you run?
Oh, just one, I think.
One a week, okay. And did anybody have a chance to go into post-season competition? Was there anything available after they competed at the PSAC championships?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I don't think so.
I'm curious about how the programs got started. So when you came to Millersville, was starting a track and cross country team on your mind, or did that come afterwards?
No, I came as a backfield coach in football. And then I was interested in track team. And then I got the cross-country team because that would condition them for track.
So who did you have to go to in the administration to start the team?
And didn't go to anybody.
So you just started the teams? And where did the funding come from? Did Millersville provide the funding?
Yeah.
So you, as a, I'm sure this is obvious to you, but it's very different than today. The money you needed to operate the program, expenses, all came from the school then?
Yeah.
Okay. So fundraising was not part of
No.
what you needed to do?
So according to the 1958 yearbook, it said that a cross-country team was going to start, but that the student council required it to be a club sport for 2 years before it became an
Yeah.
actual sport. Did that change anything in terms of how you competed, or did you still compete like you were a regular team?
Still competed.
Okay.
Art, your time as a coach spans a decade, so 1959 to 1969, things were changing, the university was evolving. What was the university like as far as size, student body, issues toward the latter years as a coach?
I think there was about 750 students.
So almost twice the size then.
Yeah.
What prompted you to move out of coaching?
Well, I became department chairman, and they didn't want you to coach if you were department chairman.
Okay. Was that a hard decision for you?
Yeah, sort of. I missed it.
Were you able to stay involved during the remaining years?
Stay what?
Involved just in observing, assisting,
Yeah.
or helping?
Were you involved at all with the construction of the track, or what prompted the construction of the track?
They were doing a football field over, putting a football field there, and just wanted a track there. I don't know who was responsible for it. I wasn't.
Okay. So they put a track in probably about 1 or 2 years after you formed the track team.
Yeah.
And I thought I read that you were involved with Fusillo Gym when Fusillo Gymnasium was being constructed.
Yeah.
Can you explain what your role was in that?
Teaching up there at Fusillo.
So when that was going up, did you have any input as to what they were looking for, what you wanted to see in that building, in the gymnasium?
No. Huh?
You were on sabbatical?
Yeah.
So you went on sabbatical and you researched other facilities and other colleges and universities and came back with that information so that you could provide the best of what you saw for Fusillo Gymnasium for Millersville University.
Yeah. I didn't do too much. It was like a vacation.
Art, how things like Beamsdorfer Stadium, Fusillo Gym, and throughout the 60s there were a lot of expansions going on at the university. How challenging was it for the university or for the college to get funding for those different facilities? Was it difficult to attain, or
I
was
don't
there a
think
lot of
so.
support?
Beamsdorfer would handle that.
Speaking of which, probably the most iconic building on campus during the 60s was Old Main. And Old Main was demolished in phases. So I think it was around 1965 that the final wing of Old Main was demolished. Do you remember that building at all?
Oh, yeah.
So when Old Main was finally demolished, was there kind of a sense of loss for the campus because that building had been there for, goodness, 80,
I don't
90
think
years?
so.
No?
Everybody was ready to move on?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what do you think was the highlight of your career? You think, you said winning the championship?
Yeah. Starting the program and getting good track team and then winning the state championship.
So you did no recruiting. The athletes just came to you and joined the team, and then you coached them to a state championship.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I didn't believe in recruiting for some reason or other.
I don't think a lot of coaches are that fortunate where that high caliber of athlete just walks onto the team
Yeah.
and wants to compete.
Art, where did most of the students come from? Were they from the Lancaster County area, or did people travel from further away to come here?
Most of them, I'd say, from Lancaster County.
Okay.
And some from suburban Philadelphia.
Okay.
So if winning states was the highlight of your career, was there a low light? Like, was there a worse moment you had in your coaching career?
Just giving it up.
That had to be a massive change in your life
Yeah.
to not have that role.
Yeah. Because I got along good with the kids, the runners.
So what I'm curious is, so you start a track program, and there's many different disciplines in track. There's the running, obviously, there's the jumping, the throwing. How did you gain the knowledge to be able to coach the different disciplines in track and field?
I guess I was on track team at Westchester. I guess from there.
Did you see coaching, or how did coaching evolve during your tenure here?
What do you mean by that?
Like, was there different training methods, like as new training methods came out, or did you just?
I don't remember any. Just,
Do you remember what, let's say with cross country, do you remember what a typical workout was? Did you have them doing long distances?
yeah. Sometimes it was jogging over the course. Other time exercises.
Do you remember about how long you had them run? Like if they had to do a long training run, about how long that was?
Couple miles.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe around 10 miles or so. Okay. During the time you were here, pole vault as an event changed quite a bit. I suspect. What were the original mats that they were landing on in pole vault? What did they land in the 1959?
Wrestling mats.
Wrestling mats. Okay. And then also the poles were very different over that 10-year period. You probably went from metal fiberglass to fiberglass.
Yeah.
And even in high jump, I suspect that there was a difference in the form of high jumpers as that evolved. So at some point, it evolved into the Fosbury flop. But
Yeah.
prior to that, there was what? Is it the scissors kick, or what type of? Do you remember what they were doing to get over the pole?
I remember.
Western roll.
Western roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, Western roll.
Okay.
Tell us about the Drescher twins.
Oh,
I've never heard this story. What happened?
they were identical twins, and one would run like we'd run the 2 mile. One would run the mile, and the other would sneak in and run the second mile.
I hope they won doing that.
How could they possibly do that with nobody noticing?
There was a group right around them, and then
So so the one would step off and kind of blend in to
Yeah.
that group, and the other would just jump out
Yeah.
and run.
I think they just did it for fun. We didn't cheat.
Any other memories that you remember or want to share?
Not that I.
Art, we want to thank you. These are memories you have. We and those that we represent weren't around. We didn't know what started all this. So what you've shared with us today really lays the foundation for what we have at the university today. So it's very important to us, and thank you for taking time to do this with us today.
You're welcome.
Thank you.